The clock's warning. I never considered myself superstitious, but the day I brought the grandfather clock home marked the beginning of nights filled with unease and restless sleep. It was a crisp Saturday morning at the local flea market, where countless treasures and forgotten relics awaited curious eyes. Amidst the cluttered stalls, an antique grandfather clock caught my attention. Its wood was darkened with age, and the glass face was smudged and cracked. The hands were frozen at 12, and the pendulum had long ceased its swing. Despite its broken state, something about it felt inexplicably compelling. I couldn't explain why I felt drawn to it, but I purchased the clock without hesitation. At home, I placed it in the living room, its presence both quaint and slightly out of place among my modern furnishings. I chalked up any lingering unease to the eerie ambiance the clock exuded. That first night, around midnight, I awoke to the unmistakable sound of ticking. Confused, I glanced at the clock. It was still silent, its hands motionless. The ticking grew louder, though, and I realized it wasn't coming from the clock. Instead, it echoed through the room, rhythmic and persistent. As I strained to listen, distinct phrases began to emerge between the ticks. One step closer, it's watching, and finally, turn around. My heart raced as I sat up, trying to make sense of the disembodied voices. The phrases repeated with each tick, growing more insistent. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, a gnawing sense of dread taking hold. I approached the clock, certain that it was the source of the disturbance, yet its face remained as lifeless as before. Days turned into weeks, and the nightly disturbances became a routine I couldn't escape. Each midnight brought the same unnerving messages, layering my nights with anxiety and fear. During the day, I found myself distracted, replaying the phrases in my mind, unable to shake their sinister undertones. Friends noticed my growing paranoia, but I dismissed their concerns, attributing my state to stress and lack of sleep. One particularly restless night, the clock's warnings took a darker turn. The phrases became more urgent. One step closer, it's watching, and turn around. This time, the final command lingered in the air longer, heavy with implication. My pulse pounded in my ears as I reached the edge of my bed, instinctively knowing what I had to do. Taking a deep breath, I turned around to face whatever awaited me. The room was as it always was, silent, dimly lit by the moonlight filtering through the curtains. Yet an oppressive weight pressed down on me, making it difficult to breathe. I strained my eyes, expecting to see something, or someone, but there was nothing. Just an empty room and the broken clock that had become the harbinger of my sleepless nights. In the days that followed, the ambiguity of that moment gnawed at me. Had something been there? Or was my mind playing tricks on me, pushed to the brink by constant fear and exhaustion? I began to investigate the clock's history, hoping to uncover any clue that might explain the phenomenon. Local records revealed that the previous owner had disappeared mysteriously one stormy night, leaving the clock behind. Some whispered it was cursed, while others believed it held the key to hidden realms. As I delved deeper, strange occurrences escalated. Subtle changes in my home, cracks in the walls that weren't there before, objects slightly moved from their places, and fleeting shadows at the edge of my vision heightened my sense of being watched. The clock continued its nightly broadcasts, each message more cryptic than the last, intertwining with the growing realization that I was entangled in something far beyond my understanding. One evening, driven by a mix of fear and determination, I decided to confront whatever force the clock had summoned. I stood before it at midnight, heart pounding, waiting for the familiar ticking to begin. As the clock struck 12, the phrases echoed once more. One step closer, it's watching, and turn around. This time, instead of turning, I spoke aloud. What do you want from me? Silence followed my question, heavier than the weight of all the previous nights combined. Then, the clock chimed, each toll resonating with an otherworldly presence. I felt a pull, an invisible force urging me to step through a door that wasn't there before. My mind raced with questions. Was this an escape, or a descent into a new form of torment? As I reached out towards the unseen doorway, the room seemed to blur around the edges, reality bending in ways I couldn't comprehend. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward, leaving behind the world I knew. The last thing I heard was the final, lingering tick of the broken clock, fading into an uncertain darkness. And then, nothing.